Wouldn't you agree with me that one of the greatest challenges that we face when we have to deal with a crisis is determining how proactive we need to be, right? When to act and when to hold back. For example, do we call the media? Do we not? If we call the media, when do we call the media? If we talk internally, do we tell everybody internally? Do we tell just a certain select group? If we talk to the media, do we do it with a press conference? Do we do it individually? Do we answer questions? Do we give out a press statement and stick to that? Do we have a product recall? Do we not? If we're having another institution that is attacking us, do we fight back or do we wage peace? Or, and another option is, do we do nothing and say nothing and just simply let it go by the board? These are the kinds of things that we have to face when we deal with crises, and it's a son of a gun to try to figure out what the right thing to do is. So how do we wrap our arms around this when we're trying to figure out how to deal with all these variabilities? Brad and I think that the key is to have a set of crisis principles. Speed saves in a crisis. I got a call, and the timing is really important. 2 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. Remember that. 2 o'clock Monday afternoon. CEO calls and says, look, my company deals with assisted living centers and nursing homes all around the country. And we've got a major problem at one of our institutions down in Florida. Can you help us? And I said, sure, I'd be happy to help you. And he said, okay, we're getting together tomorrow afternoon. We're getting together tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. And then I said, do you mind if I call your guy in Florida and ask him what exactly is going on? And he said, no, by all means, call him, see what's happening. So I called down there. One of the staff members was walking down a hallway on a Saturday evening, making her rounds. And she turned and she looked into a room to her right, and there was the janitor raping a 58-year-old retarded woman. Now that's a crisis. So she calls the police. Police haul the guy away. The guy's arrested. It takes 2 days from that Saturday to Monday for it to filter down to the media. And that very moment when I'm talking to the guy in Florida about what is happening, he tells me outside my door are 3 satellite trucks from TV stations, and there's a news chopper that is circling overhead. Now let's stop and think about this a minute. When did the CEO want to meet about this situation? The next day. 23 hours later, 1 o'clock on the next day. So by this time, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. When's the first newscast, probably, in a big market? Say roughly 5 o'clock. We've got 2.5 hours before we're dog meat. And they want to meet at 1 o'clock the next afternoon. Well, we scrambled, we put all our stuff together. We got a couple of attorneys. We talked on the phone, the executive director, and we figured out a plan to how to deal with the situation, what do we want to say, and we communicated it to the media, and it was in and out of the press in 1.5 days. We were able to pull that off in 2.5 hours. 72% of crises smolder before they blow up. 72%. And 58% of crises involve senior management. So what does that tell you? What does it tell me? It says that somebody in organizations, in companies, and institutions, no matter what they are, has some reason to believe that this explosion is coming and is doing nothing to stop it. If you can get out there and you can define the problem before somebody else does, then you're ahead of the game. I work with a food products company that has outlets throughout North Carolina, the region, several places around the country, and they had a major roach infestation at one of their big stores near corporate headquarters. And the state inspectors knew it, the company knew it, so in conjunction with the state, we shut down the store, gutted it, started cleaning the whole place out. Simultaneously, we took samples of the product, sent samples down to Atlanta to an independent lab and asked them to tell us, is the product safe? Because that's the main thing we really want to know, right? So what the public's going to want to know. And they found nothing wrong with the product. What we decided to do is it would not be wise to say, I mean, this is a company with national outlets all around the country, right? It would not be wise to send out a news release saying, hey, roaches over here. we took another step though. We developed a set of Q&As, a set of messages, a spokesperson, drafted a standby news release, and had it all ready to go because it was just a matter of time, I thought, before the press stumbled into what was really going on. And we had it waiting there, and 4 days after we had our initial meeting to figure out what was going on, the first reporter called and said, hey, we understand you closed that store because you've got a roach problem. And we said, you're absolutely right. Here's the news release. And then we sent the news release out to every other news media around our area because we knew everybody would get on it sooner or later. So we sent the news release out to everybody, and we invited all the reporters. At that minute, we said, meet us in an hour down at our store, and we'll show you everything we're doing to fix the problem. We did it. It was in and out of the press like that. One of the newspapers credited us for fast action. And that was a case where we held back. So now how do you figure out which way you're supposed to go when you've got all these kind of variabilities? Here's one way you can go, is have a crisis decision process. Now you probably have yours. Let me give you one that I like. And first you convene the team, the crisis team. And if you don't have a crisis team, shame on you. And then you compare the facts of the case that you're dealing with the crisis principles that we're now discussing, Brad and I. And then based on that, and here's where it gets interesting, generate 3 action options and choose the one that seems to be the best in the team's point of view. Take care of victims or perceived victims. The victim is where the story is. If you've got victims, you've got a problem. The best example in recent years, Hurricane Katrina. Shot load of victims. And we're all sitting there screaming at our TV set saying, just land a helicopter over there and give those poor people some food. 3-4 days go by, nothing happens, and we're sitting there going, what? And that's why we were so darn angry about it. The victim, nobody was taking care of the victims. Take care of the victims. Fix the problem. When did you learn about it and what did you do about it? I've worked a number of cases involving school systems with sex cases involving teachers and coaches with students. There's only one thing the parents want to know. Only one thing they want to know. When did you find out about it and how fast did you get that scumbag away from my daughter? You've got to tell your stakeholders what's happening and let them know what's going on. And very often, you can do a whiz-bang job at talking to the press. And I'm telling you, if your internal stakeholders don't know what you're up to, you're dead meat as a leader. CEO, CFO, COO, 2 attorneys, several other people, they said, we're filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I said, fine, when? This afternoon. I said, okay, fine. And what do you want me to do? Will you tell the press, help us tell the press about it? Fine, no problem. Have you told your employees about it? No. Have you told your customers about it? No. Have you told your suppliers about it? No. And they've been in business 60 years. Have you told your mayor about it? Because he could get called. No. I said, well, when did you plan to tell these folks about this? And they said, well, we thought that we'd let the media announcement take care of everybody. How many of you are former reporters? I know Melissa is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tell me that I'm right about this. When you start working on a story, you start locking in on what your perception of what is going on. Right? You start locking in on that, and you start preparing the story based on that preconceived notion of what the story is. And if you call a company A, and say, what do you have to say about this? And company A doesn't call back for hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, hour 4, you don't stop working. You keep writing the story. And the story probably gets nastier and nastier about your company. You have got to get back to reporters and give them your side of the story while they're still malleable, while you can have an impact. If you wait till it's all over, you're in a world of trouble. This is the closest thing to a magic bullet that I can give you. And that is, whenever there's a crisis, there's an inherent threat. There's an inherent threat to somebody. It may be direct, it may be indirect. But there's a threat to somebody out there in your controversy. And people want to know, am I safe? Is my family safe? Is my city safe? Is my country safe? Is my world safe? Are my values safe? Is my property safe? Is my money safe? Are people who are like me safe? And therefore, if they want to know, am I safe, then your job when you have a crisis is to ask yourself, is what we're doing, what we're saying, reassuring? And if it is, you're almost always on the right track. Thank you very much.